Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in for the final time for season number 1 of the TGN Pro Series. My name is Tristan Earps, joining you for the final time here tonight for season number 1 of 2026's Pro Series at TGN Racing Simulators, proudly brought to you by Master Drive and TGN. Can you believe we're already at the leg end of it? And 7 rounds have passed us. We're on to the final round in this season. And then we take a short break before we start season 2 of 2026. Remember, that structure is that we do usually go for about 2 seasons in an average year. So we are coming to the end of season number 1. It has been an absolutely outstanding season as of yet, but it is not over. And the drivers have got one more night of heavy pushing before they can get to the end and call it a victory or call it a learning lesson. So we are officially here at Alton Park Island, a great track to finish off in terms of the racing in this season. Just going to quickly drop our audio levels a little bit here on TikTok's side. As I do see, we are peaking quite a little bit. There we go. That should be better. So like I was saying, we are here at Alton Park, an incredible circuit for some BTCC racing. Obviously, it's in the name. It is a British Touring Car Championship. And what better way to do it than to finish the season off at at a British circuit. It seems like we've had to restart qualifying here for a third time, which means we will get going now only again for another 10-minute spree. So not too sure what's going on for our final race of the season, but looks like our drivers will have a slightly extended amount of time out on the track for their qualifying. So let's hope that they use it well, and it will be used in the best possible way to set themselves up in the front sides. But one important thing for today's racing is definitely going to be the factor of who will be taking the win in terms of the end of season number 6. We do indeed have the standings ready for you, coming towards the end of round 7, now heading into round number 8. And as you can see, it is quite tight. P number 1 all the way down to P number 7, all locked out on 200 points and above. It is Christopher Long who sits up on top, though, with 277 points to his name. Michael de Kock, the other Cape Townian, with 274 points to his name. Second position. Third goes to Kitsumagia currently with 250 points. Definitely chaseable to the 2 up front. Ralph Schuster still remains 4th. 6 points behind Kitsumagia with 244 points total to his name. We then got Daniel Kent in 5th position. He has absolutely skyrocketed up the grid here and moved all the way outside of the top 10 up into the top 5 within the final round. So 217 points to his name. Giosakia, who's also going to be pushing his hardest tonight, had a bit of a chat with him before we started. 212 points to his name. Maratile Motswagosele, he's got a long push ahead of him yet tonight. He's got Giosakia up ahead that he's going to want to try and push for. 4 points of a difference between those two. Aratile sitting on 208 points to his name. Carl Williams just a bit further down in 8th position, 195 points to his name. Jared Leask down in 9th currently, 164 points. And JP Goslet with 145 points to his name, down in 10th position, taking it away from Derek Truscott, and now changing that top 10 order a slight bit. But this is a big thing to remember in terms of this gridding position, in terms of the standings, is that this is without penalty points being added into the equation. So after the season, the admins will review each round yet again and go and look for penalty points that need to be administered. So certain people could possibly be dropping or going up on this leaderboard slightly or majorly, depending on, obviously, admin stewarding. There are a couple of people who will be receiving a couple of penalties. I can't say them off the top of my head because I don't really know. Obviously, it's been quite a bit of a journey over the past season, and we can't remember each incident from each round. So that is going to be the job of the admins to go and review that. And then we will ultimately see. There's also a drop round in the equation that hasn't been added yet. So the drivers get to choose one of their rounds that they do not want to be added in their points calculation. That's a total round, meaning all 3 heats within that round will be completely called off. So if a driver had a really bad night of racing, they can completely call it off. So that can be something to play for as well between our drivers. A big thing, though, for tonight, it is our finale, as we've said multiple times before, meaning that this is the night that somebody gets crowned. It's the final time the BTCCs go around for season number 1, and it is a double points night. All 3 heats for tonight's racing will be a double points session, meaning that instead of being 50 points for the lead of the race, it is 100 points for the lead of the heat. So it is going to be quite a tremendous battle up in front. The drivers are really going to be putting their foot forwards and doing anything that they can to get up to those top standing spots, and we'll have to wait patiently and see who's going to be able to do that. We know Ralph Schuster and Kitsumajia, 2 drivers who are really going to be at it today. Those 2 definitely need to try and get some redemption and find some points on their log. So just want to quickly have a quick squiz at something here inside of our AC. I believe I just want to drop something slightly that is quite loud. Should be that setting there. There we go. Dropping the master a little bit because I cannot lie to you, it is absolutely killing my ears. So I'm going to drop the master audio a little bit down to 42, and that should still be good in terms of what you hear on our stream. We are indeed live across 3 of our platforms like we always are. Funny enough, 4 platforms tonight for the finale. We're obviously live on Twitch like we always are. We're live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok, but we are also live tonight on Facebook. So all 4 of the popular streaming platforms are out here tonight, and that leaves for the most amount of opportunity for you and your family to come and watch along for the final heat, the final 3 heats for round number 8 in season number 1. And not to mention yet again that there is a huge prize pool up for grabs, obviously from the winning driver in the Pro Series, and that's going to be a lacquer contribution from Master Drive coming in with that advanced driving course, but also a couple of good vouchers coming from TGN Racing Simulators, which can be redeemed in-store and online at tgnza.co.za. And you can stock a couple of great items, Moses Sim Magic, a good amount of sim racing equipment. You can essentially start your career here. You'll start your hobby or your career, depending on how seriously you're wanting to take it. You can start both of them here at TGN Racing Simulators, and you can also enhance it. Buy yourself some upgrades, do all those kind of things for your sim racing setup. All of it can be done here at TGN Racing Simulators. So do not look anywhere else. This is the place to be. Not to mention yet again that we offer a lot of real life entertainment and experiences. Example, like we have tonight. This is a full in-person league. If you are joining us here for the first time, you will see in the bottom left-hand side, unfortunately, we don't have the Cape Town cameras with us for tonight's race, but in the bottom left is the Johannesburg branch camera, which is currently showing our 10 drivers here participating across the blue rigs. We've also got a branch in Cape Town and a branch in Durban, which is brand spanking new. So there is ample opportunity for you to get involved in the world of TGN. So make sure that you get yourself involved. There's events running all across the week though, and we're just getting through our rolling schedule before we head to the main race as qualifying continues to pace around. But Mondays and Tuesdays, TGN racing centers across South Africa are closed. We then have Wednesday opening back up, and Wednesday night racing taking place. That's 2 sessions happening with random cars, random tracks, but all real people at the centers that you can talk to and race against. Thursday is obviously going to be your Pro and Pro-Am series, which is also something to look forward to, and something I've just got to quickly change yet again. Apologies, we had a few delays just before this, but we will be ready in no time. And it's one simple change. There we go. And we should be good to go. As long as, yep, looks like we are good to go. There we go. One simple change done and dusted. How's our TikTok doing over there? Couple of people in there. Couple of likes already shot up. That's great to see. But as I was mentioning, Thursday is what you are currently watching. It is going to be your Pro and Pro-Am series that takes place. Obviously being Pro tonight. And funny enough, Pro-Am is not finished. They do have one more repeat round happening next week, which is a repeat of round 4 due to Cape Town having some technical issues doing round 4. So it is going to be a repeated event for round number 4, which is going to happen next week. Also going to be live streamed, obviously not commentated on, but it will still be live if you want to catch that. Friday, we have half price Fridays across the entire day. No nighttime events on a Friday, so go and enjoy yourself. But come to TGN during the day, half price on any simulator session, and that is also a heap of fun. You've then got Saturday Super Series, which runs in the afternoon / late evening. Late afternoon / early evening here in South Africa. And your Super Series also being comprised of the V8 Supercars and the GT3s, which are two incredible categories to race and be a part of. And then Sunday is your F1 Sundays when the F1 calendar happens, but also something bigger is your TGN Endurance Series, which again is the final one for this half of the year, happening next week, Sunday. So that is also one to look forward to. The 7th of June is going to be our last one for this half of the year. We take a small break and then return at the end of July, I believe, somewhere around July. So a little bit of a break, but then we are back. Same with the TGN Pro Series, like we've already mentioned. But that is something I assume everyone is glued up upon because they've been watching for the total time of the season. Back to what we're actually here for, the racing action. Christopher Long, our championship leader, is able to get himself up in the pole positions, a 124.2. Michael the Cock, our second place runner-up, gets himself a 24.3. And unexpectedly, our 10th place in the championship standings, JP Goslet, gets himself an outstanding qualifying lap and currently sits in third position, just up ahead of Kitsomagia, who lies in third in the championship standings. He's got a 124.4. Kyle Williams also trying to climb back up that ladder, 124.5 to his name. Daniel Kent, who sits fifth in the championship standings, is sixth currently in qualifying. Derek Truscott trying to get himself back on that top 10 before the season is over, gets himself a 7th position so far for qualifying. Jetsakia gets 8th. Oratile Motsogosele gets himself a 9th. And Ralph Schuster, unfortunately, not the best results, down in 11th position as it stands. And this is a man fighting for some championship points. He's in 4th and practically tied with Kitsomagia for 3rd place here. But unfortunately, these qualifying results are not looking too positive. Session Governor, our new gun to the Pro Series, his first season across the entirety of the board. And he's down in 12th position. Vilji Truscott currently 13th. And Tevin Paul, also new gun, down 14th position. Sean Norse racing with one arm tonight. You heard me right. Unfortunately, Sean sustained a bit of a motorbike incident sometime in the last 2 to 3 weeks, and he is racing tonight. He still came to the race, but he is in a cast on his left arm, so he's racing with fully automatic gearbox, slightly reduced force in his wheel, and one-handing the entire way. I actually hosted a petition to give the poor man a triple point. We're doing double points, obviously, for the rest of them, but a triple point for him because he is obviously racing on a bit of a handicap, but it looks like he's going to manage. But he does get himself 15th position ahead of Dean Jacobs. And obviously, the only driver not participating in tonight's race is Ryan Grigoratos. So that is going to be someone who is not here tonight and somebody we will unfortunately be missing for the final. That is officially it for your qualifying. We take a 5-minute break. This is a great time for you to stand up, shake those legs a bit, maybe go get something to drink, and then we get started with heat number 1. You do not want to miss it. It is the final time you see heat number 1 for season 1. And we are just about ready to get heat number 1 out and on the way. The final time we see the first heat for season number 1. It is indeed Christopher Long and Michael Lecoq up on that front line. The red gantry lights are positioned at the top, and they are getting ready to go. There we see the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6. The cars holding that clutch in, waiting for the drop. And there we go. It is green lights, and away we go for racing. It's a great jump up on the inside there from JP Gosling. He makes his way there around what looks to be Christopher Long, who's had a massive drop down, as we do have Michael Lecoq all the way up in the top spots now. Carl Williams also moves his way up into second, currently fighting it out with the likes of JP Gosling. Gio Sakia gets himself a great run, and Christopher Long has had a massive drop-off after the start of this race. Definitely something has happened at the start that we were unfortunately unable to see. It looked like a bit of a launch control issue that Christopher Long had, and just not enough to keep up with that front pack, who's gotten a way better pull-off. And so he's well into the mid-packs now, while Michael Lecoq already 1.5 seconds ahead. Carl Williams, though, has snuck his way all the way up ahead into second position. Kitso Magia is going to do everything he can to stay with this top 3 fight, but it is going to be a difficult one that he's going to have to work hard towards. JP Gosling just behind, though, still trying to make his way up towards Kitso Magia. Derek Truscott just a bit further behind in that Cupra Leon, also making his way over the hill here of Alton Park, back up towards the ending of the circuit, towards the checkered flag line. For the rest of our drivers, though, Session Governor, he's had a good start to it so far. Dean Jacobs, unfortunately, gets forced backwards to the backside. Sean Norris, our one-handed man, is still in the race, down in at 14th position. Volji Truscott, Oratile, has had a unfortunate start to this, and he goes all the way down from this race, and we continue going with Michael Lecoq up in front. Carl Williams still just further behind. Still up in front with a 1.5 second lead. Carl Williams 1.5 seconds behind. Michael Lecoq is 1.6 seconds ahead, and he is pulling away rapidly. Not even to the point where we can barely even hear him in the distance there compared to the rest of our vehicles here in the main pack. But Gio Sakia will continue fighting around. You see just up in front, he's got Derek and Daniel just a bit further behind. And Daniel has been incredibly aggressive over these past few rounds in terms of claiming positions with all track authority. He literally bumps nobody and gets past with absolute ease. I know he just recently upgraded the home setup to a Moza R3, got himself off of the old G27, and so that's definitely helped him a lot. Huge miss on the brakes there, though. That's from GF Sakia up in front. He goes straight over the chicane, and that's going to be an unfortunate slight time penalty that will probably be reviewed afterwards. But 2.5 seconds ahead, it is Michael Lecoq, who's gotten a way better pull-off here in heat number 1. Carl Williams is doing everything he can to catch up, but it's going to be a hard-fought battle. Volji Truscott down 12th position as it stands. Sean Norris gets himself up into 13th, and he is carrying some positivity with him there as well. Christopher Long, our race leader, all the way down to 8th position as it currently stands, chasing behind Truscott, and Schuster will also be behind him, who is going to continue to try and put pressure. Ralph Schuster in need of some desperate points. Christopher Long in need of defending his championship, and unfortunately he can't really do it from this angle because Michael Lecoq, who's in second in the championship, sits first right now. And with the double points, that is going to be almost 100 points to his name up in front, which is going to be crucial to the championship. But Daniel Kent right on the backside now of Gio Sakia. He's going to do everything he can to try and get past. As we mentioned, Daniel Kent already going side by side with Gio Sakia and into the hairpin. He's made a beautiful move up the inside and moves up into 5th position. I did hear a scream coming, and I know exactly who it was from because it's Dean Jacobs. Unfortunately, about 4 seconds off of the pack now. So looks like he's had a little bit of an incident in the first sector and lost the rear of his Cupra Leon. He falls off the pack as it stands. Another corner cut there from Derek Truscott as he climbs over the Sector 2 curbing. You've got to watch out for that curb because it is going to bring some penalties down on these drivers' heads. Ralph Schuster, who was continuing to try his luck here at Derek Truscott. He's got Jared Leask behind, who's not opposing as an immediate threat. Jared Leask, I like to call him the man with the headlights because he is the only man out on track. He usually has his headlights on full blast. You can literally see him in the distance just holding down those headlights, and almost looks like he's flashing all of his opponents as he races around the track. But Derek Truscott is going to have to watch out. He does have Christopher Long up in front, who's also trying to claim his authorities back here. Moved up one place from where he was sitting, so up into 7th he goes. But obviously, the ideal circumstance here is going to be getting back into first position. But that is going to be an incredibly hard-fought battle. That is not going to be an easy one at all. Daniel Kent already on his way to move away completely from Gio Sakia, who's now in a bit of a tussle there with Christopher Long. Looks like we've got some smoke in the background. I'm not too sure who that is, but it looks like Gio Sakia is all good. Aratilia moves back up into 10th position. Just a little bit of brake locking coming up there. Nobody off the track, it seems. Sean Norse still holding 13th position. As the rest of our drivers come around, Jared Lees continuing to put the pressure on the likes of Vilji Truscott. I believe Ralph Schuster dropped off a slight bit. Indeed, he did. And he's got a bit of distance to catch up now on Vilji Truscott. He was right on the backside, but now falling off in the first 6 minutes. It's going to be a hard one to get back up towards that fighting circumstance. JP Goslet, our man who is setting some rapid lap times down in 10th position of the championship standings. And off goes Kitsumagia, completely missing the braking point on the back right-hander. And I did mention to the drivers they've got to watch out for the corner fade on that corner because it breaks in very, very late. So you think you can carry speed until it's too late, and off the track you go. Kitsumagia loses a bunch of positions as well as a bunch of traction. He's going to have a lot of grass on those tires that he's got to shake off in the next coming laps, or else he will be at a bit of a loss in terms of traction on his car. Oh, he might give a bit of a rear end tap there to Christopher Long, getting very close on the rear there and potentially causing an accident. But fortunately for him, he seems to have managed it quite well. 13 minutes left to go, and up in front it is still the same pack. JP Goslet though is finally ready for a move, it looks like, on the backside of Carl Williams, looking to go on the inside of the hairpin. Just not enough though, and he's got to stay behind the purple Cooper Leon. This is giving ample opportunity though to Daniel Kent in 4th position to move up yet again. And remember, Daniel sits 5th currently in championship standings with the double points, with Kitsumagia and Ralph Schuster being in 3rd and 4th in the championship standings. Both of them so far off currently. This is going to be great points for Daniel Kent to get, as we see Carl Williams going off the track for another time. This is going to give a run off right now to Daniel Kent as he explores the rear end there of Carl Williams, and looks like he's going to go for it on the inside of that right-hand bender, and it looks like he's going to make it successful. Unfortunately, just not enough to get the rotation done, and Carl Williams sits on the outside line and makes the position stick. Not enough for Daniel Kent. He's got to do a little bit more if he wants to get up ahead. So it's going to be a hard-fought battle that he's got to go through. Kitsumagia trying to get back up to where he was, but that's also going to be a difficult choice that he's got to make. Christopher Long moves up into 6th position, obviously with the drop of Kitsumagia, who now comes in to serve his pit stop. So Kitsumagia jumps in to get the undercut done. Well, we've got a beautiful angle of the pit lane in this at this track. At least we can actually see our drivers. And Session Governor missing the pit box, unfortunately. That's going to be a delayed pit timing, and he's going to have to work through that one. But JP Goslet moves up into 2nd. Carl Williams still sitting in 3rd position. Apologies, JP Goslet moved up a while ago. That's why Daniel Kent is right on the rear. So Carl Williams made an error quite a couple of laps ago. JP Goslet made the move, but it is still 3.5 seconds to our current race leader of Michael de Kock, who is far ahead of JP Goslet. 3.5 seconds in this context is a lot in such a small track, and it's going to be a hard one for JP Goslet to work his way back up there. Christopher Long, Jared Lees are down in 8th position with Ralph Schuster putting more and more pressure lap by lap as they continue to go around the track. Continuing on though, and we just see Ralph Schuster further behind, and that's going to be a bit of a tricky one. Sean Norse moves up into 11th though with the pit stops, and he's going to be satisfied with that one, especially with being on the one hand and managing to keep himself nice and consistent. A few lockups there. He's got both feet at least, which means he can handle the braking element. It's just the turning element that is slightly lackluster that he's got to work through. Kitsumagia down 13th now, but he has served his pit stop. So that is a good sign. Carl Williams comes into service pit stop. I believe he's missed his pit box. I'm not sure. That doesn't really look like an official pit box. Oh, it is. It's not really according to the lines on the actual pit lane. It's just in terms of where the pit crewman is standing on the left-hand side. So Carl Williams already comes out. Jared Lees comes in. Vilji Truscott also comes in. Both of them very quick pit stops. Vilji sitting for a little bit longer, and there he now pops out. The rest of our drivers still rotating. Unfortunately, when pit stop strategies happen, you tend to see a bit of a distance being created between all of our drivers, and that's already starting to happen as we see a couple of gaps being generated between our drivers. 13th and 14th, a huge gap between Vilji Truscott and Session Governor. But Michael the Cock up in front with JP just a bit further behind, who's going to be doing everything possible. And it looks like he is catching, because it went down from 3.5 all the way down to 2.9. So that's going to be a good strong push here for JP Goslet. What can he do to get ahead of the tides here and push on to Michael the Cock? It is officially halfway into this race. 10 minutes left to go, and we should be seeing Michael the Cock and JP Goslet eventually coming into the pit lane in the next few minutes, possibly this lap. Indeed, I do see Michael the Cock jumping in, and indeed he does. And followed by him is JP Goslet. Daniel Kent also follows. Gio Sakia stays out for another lap. Derek Truscott comes in. So lots and lots of our drivers deciding to come in. Christopher Long looks like he's come in as well. So a few of our drivers coming in to get the box done. But yet again, Gio Sakia stays out. And who do you know stays out? The overcut king himself, Ralph Schuster, who loves to pit at the final moment, will stay out in his red Cooper Leon. He'll continue to try and get a couple of clean air laps. He's been stuck in a couple of laps of hard traffic, and that's really slowed him down in the later laps. But now he's got a little bit of breathing room. He's got 2 seconds to Gio Sakia, which is going to be a bit of a difficult one to catch. Sounds like he's downshifting a bit too fast in that car. Heard a couple of pops out the back. Fortunately, in this league, there isn't any mechanical damage. There's might be a little bit of cosmetic damage, like a few scratches here or there, but no crazy damage in this league. Otherwise, you could potentially blow your gearbox out, which is something that can happen in real life and both in slightly more simulator level sims. But obviously, the way this has been set up, damage has been reduced just for the sake of racing. Otherwise, we would be seeing guys dropping out at a very, very short notice time. JP Goslet still going around in 5th position. He's come out. So provisional pole is 3rd position with Michael the Cock. He's 12 seconds behind Ralph Schuster. Unfortunately, the average pit time is well over 12 seconds here. So Ralph Schuster and Gio Sakia both going to fall into the clutches there of Michael the Cock. Daniel Kent, though, has managed to sneak himself into 3rd position here. No, he has not. Apologies. Got the naming wrong. It is still 4th position provisionally for Daniel Kent. He's got Michael the Cock up in 3rd. 4th is Carl Williams. 5th is JP Goslet. So that's provisional 3rd for JP. Got mixed up with the 2 yellow cars. And so that is going to be the mission now for Daniel Kent. Can he, in the next 8 minutes, get up ahead? Gio Sakia comes into the pit lane. So does Ralph Schuster. And Ralph Schuster only exiting the pit lane now. So all the way down to 10th position is what it's going to look like for Ralph Schuster. And unfortunately, the overcut did not work. Unfortunately, it doesn't work most of the time, just because of the pure pace of our drivers up in front. Sounds like somebody screaming down on the floor again. Not too sure if somebody's had a bit of an error. I do see Session Governor and Dean Jacobs both very, very far off from the rest of the pack. That's Tevin Paul, apologies. Session Governor's just a couple of meters up the road. But it has officially been reset back to what it was. Michael the Cock back up into 1st with Carl Williams just tailing behind in 2nd. Gio Sakia in 3rd position. A great overcut strategy that has worked out for Gio Sakia. He slots himself just ahead of JP Goslet, and JP's got a mission now to fight. Daniel Kent gets pushed back down to 5th position. 6th for Christopher Long. 7th for Truscott. That's going to be 8th for Jared Leask. 9th for Ralph Schuster. And 10th for Aratilia Motsogosele. Unfortunately, Kitso Mejia down 11th. This is not looking good for him in terms of his championship points. He's even going to lose out slightly to Ralph Schuster, yeah? So they've got to watch out. But this is great news for Gio Sakia. He's got 6 minutes left to hold off JP Goslet or potentially push onto the backside of Carl Williams. But as it currently stands, it looks like he's receiving a lot of pressure from what it looks like. If we go to the rear angle of that car, I believe I'm clicking the wrong one. There we go. We should see it. There it is there. I just went right past it. A lot of pressure coming from behind with JP Goslet putting the pressure on. And also Daniel Kent, the 2 cars that are following in each other's wakes, the 2 yellow Cupra and the 1 yellow Toyota Corolla XL. And they'll continue to do the same thing to Gio Sakia. And here it comes. The yellow mountain will climb onto the backside of the white mountain. And it looks like Gio Sakia is under immense pressure from Goslet and Kent behind. He's got to watch out, though, because they will continue to try and squeeze past. And he might even lose 2 positions at once here, pushing JP Goslet on the outer edge and forcing him to brake slightly earlier. And over the curbing, he's actually going to go. No space given whatsoever. And that's going to force JP Goslet to fight with Daniel Kent. The 2 of them switching orders now. Not going to be very happy with that one, JP Goslet. He gets pushed out slightly there by Gio Sakia, but it's competitive racing for the last heat number 1 of the season. And you can see that Gio Sakia is doing everything he can, but the two behind have completely messed up. Daniel Kent goes off, and JP Goslet follows in his line. They both go off on the left-hand side of the track, and both fall off of the grid. Now JP Goslet has got pressure. He actually goes on the inside as Jared Lees breaks off to the right, but Jared Lees now on the backside of Ralph Schuster as Ralph Schuster makes his way ahead, but JP Goslet has got a lot of pressure coming behind him now because he's fallen off of the main pack. So has Daniel Kent, and this has given Christopher Long the legs to move into 4th. So Gio Sakia thought that he was maybe a bit more relaxed, but unfortunately, it's just put an even more competitive partner on the rear side, because here comes Christopher Long, equal machinery, and this is going to be a fight down to the line. We've got Mega Teagues in the virtual commentary box, virtual grandstand, is saying 6 minutes to go, Gio. You can catch Carl in that time, and the cheering for Gio Sakia is unmatched currently, but he's got so much pressure from behind. Michael the Cock is, swaying his legs in the air. He's, just enjoying himself. Out 5 seconds. You can even hear how peaceful it is around him. No other engines in sight. Same with Carl Williams. He's got a lot of free air. And then you just go to Gio Sakia, and it's absolute chaos, because on the inside line, here comes Christopher Long getting forced onto the grass slightly. This is hyper competitive racing, and Gio Sakia doing absolutely everything he can, but it's not going to be enough. And Christopher Long finds the gap on the inside line, moves ahead, and it's White Cupra versus White Cupra. Unfortunately, the benefactor has lost out, and Gio Sakia will move down to 4th. Daniel Kent has got a new chance at revival here as he gets on the backside of Gio Sakia now. Just behind, though, Jerry Truscott, Ralph Schuster, they've all moved ahead of JP Goslet, and he's completely lost his stride after dropping off the track there. This is good news for Ralph Schuster. It's going to be even more points on the plate here compared to Kitsumajia down at 11th. The two of them fighting for 3rd position in the championship, but Daniel Kent, who's in 5th in the championship, is also going to really benefit from this. Same with Gio Sakia, down in 6th position right now. He's going to have a hard time trying to keep Daniel Kent at bay, and even a harder time trying to catch up to Christopher Long. Two very competitive drivers, and Gio Sakia goes wide at the hairpin. This is not good news, because here comes Daniel Kent on the inside down to the double chicane, and it looks like he's going to have the inside. Gio Sakia tries the late brakes. He's given the inside space by Daniel Kent. Great sportsmanship shown, but it's not going to be enough, and Daniel Kent gets past just based on pure race speed, and past he will go. Unfortunately, Gio Sakia 2 positions down in 1 lap. Christopher Long gets past, and so does Daniel Kent. Daniel Kent doing everything he can. He wants to get that 3rd position spot on the podium. Michael the Cock trying to seal the deal here and move himself ahead of Christopher Long before season's end. And looks like he's doing a pretty good, fine job at it. Carl Williams down 8th position. Remember, he's still got a huge penalty round after being disqualified. That's going to affect his points, unfortunately, coming towards the end of the season. So not too sure exactly where he does lie, but Daniel Kent in 4th position. 2 minutes left to go. We're averaging about 1 minute and 30-second lap times here. So it looks like we will still be doing 1 more lap after this, with Michael the Cock being far ahead of the rest of the pack. Carl Williams is slowly but surely catching, but I don't think it's going to be enough before the end of the session in order to do something. Christopher Long just a bit further behind in 3rd. We've got Mega Teagues again in the virtual grandstand. Stay in the wake, Gio. Get out before the corners to avoid the understeer. Some great advice coming from what looks to be some form of pit crew member in the virtual grandstand for Gio Sakia, as he now recontests on the outside. Can he change his odds? And he can indeed, and he's done it. A much better sector there for Gio Sakia, and jumping up into 4th. He's now actually put pressure on Daniel Kent as Derek Truscott has gotten the launch on the poor exit from Daniel Kent, and he moves up ahead of Daniel Kent, who's now being swarmed by Ralph Schuster. This is great news for Gio Sakia, but bad news for Daniel Kent. His relaxation is over. Gio Sakia moves up into 4th now and will chase down on Christopher Long, but I think his only objective here is to finish the race strong in 4th position. Try not to give the place up to Derek Truscott or Daniel Kent behind, and Daniel Kent's objective is the complete opposite. Try and push and get those last 2 positions, but it's not going to be easy, because here comes and there's a huge amount of contact as he spins over the nose. Gio Sakia has been pit maneuvered and it looks like contact with Derek Truscott. And just as the end of the race comes, Gio Sakia will fall down to the back of the grid, all the way down to 12th position. And this was not in his books for tonight's racing. Heat number 1 ruined, unfortunately. I'm not too sure who was at fault for that incident. It looked like a bit of a crossover. I don't know if Gio Sakia was trying to defend a little bit too hard against Derek Truscott, or if it was merely just a bit of a drift coming from Truscott. Unfortunately, we won't know for sure. We'll have to watch the replay at the end. But that is so unfortunate for Gio Sakia. He completely loses out on that 4th position. The leader is officially on the final lap. Derek Truscott now moves into 4th. Christopher Long moves up into 3rd. Daniel Kent will remain 5th. Ralph Schuster gets himself some more points on the board. And that is going to be such an unfortunate end to Gio Sakia's race. Down to 11th, he will go. But Michael de Kock, an absolutely stellar race for heat number 1, will come across the line to take the checkered flag. Just behind him, Kyle Williams will finish it off in 2nd position. Christopher Long, after having an incredibly poor start, has brought it back for 3rd. Derek Truscott, after the small incident, will take 4th. Daniel Kent takes final 5th. And Ralph Schuster will take 6th. Kitso Magia gets a recovery drive of note. My goodness, gets himself up into 7th and puts himself back in the fight with Ralph Schuster. Matsogosele gets 8th. It's 9th for Jared Leeskin, 10th for Goslet, 11th for Sakia. It's going to be 12th for Vilji Truscott, 13th for the one-hand man of Sean Norse, and he's going to be incredibly happy with that one. Session Governor down into 14th position. 15th is Tevin Paul, and 16th, finishing off the grid, is going to be Dean Jacobs, coming across the checkered flag line for the final time for heat number 1. And that is officially it for your heat number 1. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We've got another 2 heats coming up for you, and that's going to be a good one nonetheless. We've got reverse grid heat 2 coming up, as well as your chaos grid heat 3 coming up. So stay tuned, grab something to drink, and we'll be back in approximately 7 minutes time. My goodness, what an eventful heat number one we got to experience. And if you thought heat number one was anything, we've obviously got another two coming up. That being heat number two and heat number three. And Dean Jacobs is going to be leading it off with the reverse grid. He did finish in last place in race number one. And so it will be switched around, starting in first position here. And it is going to be Michael Lecoq all the way down in 15th position. All the way at the back side of the grid. He's going to be looking at a monster of cars that he's got to overtake. 20 seconds left, though, to our race start. And it is going to be an incredible one here for heat number two. It's always a nice one for heat number two. You really do see a lot of grid position shifting with your faster drivers being towards the rear side, trying to work their way up to the top. But it is officially gantry light time. It's 6 red lights at the top side of the screen. It is almost lights out, and we're waiting for the red anticipation to disappear, and it's officially gone. And Dean Jacobs is going to get a pull. It's a good launch from somebody at the back there, but it looks like Christopher Long gets another poor launch all the way at the back side of the grid there. I did see him just not getting the launch he wanted, and it indeed was Christopher Long not getting the launch that he wanted. But Dean Jacobs already under pressure here from Tevin Paul, who's going to move up on the inside line, takes P number one. Session Govender tries to join in, but just takes a bit of an outside line there, getting forced wide by Dean Jacobs, and he's going to lose a collective of positions. Almost the entire grid gets past him, and he moves down all the way down the order, unfortunately. Tevin Paul is going to lead our grid here for the start of heat number two. Sean Norse, a one-handed man, is going to be sitting down in third position as it currently stands. JP Goslet sits 6. Ralph Schuster already gets an incredible launch into 7th position. Gio Sakia is wanting redemption for race number one. He did not get the finish he wanted, and now heat number two is going to be the time to do it. And look at him already going, putting the pressure. He's got support from the virtual grandstand. And now he just needs to keep the motivation streak up into 7th he goes. He gets past a couple of our drivers. Then it looks like Ralph Schuster has had a massive moment. He moves down to 16th position, final spot on the grid, and he's just missed the braking zone, and looks like he's gone off into the sand. No, my goodness, don't tell me he's done it again. And he did. I just warned Kitsumajia about that corner and the consequences of braking just a bit too late, and he's done the same thing. Kitsumajia down to 16th position after just braking too late, and the grass was all he was fed today, unfortunately. Out onto the wide he will go. Tevin Paul, on the other hand, has set the fastest lap of the race, and looks like he's finding some good consistency so far as he progresses. Sean Norse feeling a little bit of pressure, unfortunately, and doing everything he can with one hand, but it's not enough, and there he starts to lose the car, and it is going to be contact with the solid barrier. And unfortunately, Sean Norse is going to drop to the backside of the pack, just trying to carry too much speed on the left-hand side of the track, the right-hand side, sorry, trying to turn a left, and you cannot force that much weight that fast into a corner. The car's just a little bit too heavy to do that, and it looks like Sean Norse it looks like he's missed a turn of sort. I'm not too sure what Sean Norse is doing, and there he continues, made a bit of an error. And see Dean Jacobs has got his hand up. He's not happy about something. I'm not too sure what's happening with Dean Jacobs. And there he gets a little bit more contact, what seems to be with Christopher Long, who tries to make his way up the rest of the pack. It's now too wide between the two of them as Christopher Long has the inside. Dean Jacobs has got the outside line here, but now switching back is going to be Christopher Long. What a great move as he sees the late break from Dean Jacobs and seizes the opportunity on the inside. Great move to move up into 8th position. Daniel Kent has done the same and will move up into 7th position. Unfortunately, 3rd and 4th, Kitsumajia and Ralph Schuster following themselves in the same wake, both making errors at the start of this race and cannot account for it at all. JP Goslet in a great position for point scoring in today's race. Volji Truscott has taken the lead, but never mind. Tevin Paul is hungry for that lead position and takes it back after lap number 1. Moving back up into those top spots, Derek Truscott will set 4th. It's the two identical cars, the two blues, chasing each other now. The one with the headlights continuously on. It's the Corolla XR of Jared Leask versus Derek Truscott in that Group Leon, who's made an error in his judgment for turning, and he's hit the tire barrier and been completely stopped by the gravity. Unfortunately, Derek Truscott now loses out all the way down to 13th position. Not going to be happy about that one. Dean Jacobs still holds 10th at 9th position as we now see Session Govender moving up, but Kitsumajia has been able to sneak his way on the inside line, and Ralph Schuster being forced wide into 12th position. Up in front, though, these two are not done fighting yet because Tevin Paul is receiving that pressure as it still stands from Vilji Truscott and Tevin Paul, JP Goslet on the backside, who also had a great starting position for heat number 1. Not a great race, though, is in the chance for redemption here. In third position, he will sit Daniel Kent, who was going to finish third, had a bit of an argy-bargy there with a couple of drivers, and now also looking for a little bit of redemption. He now sits fourth position, and the fastest lap just being set by the Corolla XR driver there, Daniel Kent, doing everything possible to make his way up the grid. Christopher Long, though, the championship leader before round 7. Obviously, he's lost points to the likes of Michael de Kock, but now he's a good couple of positions up ahead, and now he wants to just carry it. But Oratile Mosogosele behind is going to continue to put pressure, and we'll have to wait and see if this is going to be it for these drivers or if they're going to continue to fight it out. I think they're going to continue. We've still got 15 minutes left of racing here, and it is great action to see. Daniel Kent still got a lot of pressure going on here. He's got 2 potential overtakes up in front as JP Goslet has wiggled his way into P number 1. Unfortunately, Tevin Paul is having a bit of a scruff there with Vilji Truscott, and because of that, Daniel Kent has found an opening and forces his way into that green and yellow sandwich. He makes it too wide now between the yellows, and now he's going to continue putting pressure up front with Vilji Truscott. Daniel Kent is going to dive on the outside. He gets tapped, though, but what an incredible save. Unfortunately, just not enough to keep it off the grass, and Daniel Kent will be forced a couple positions back, but that could have been way worse than what it ended up being. What a great save of the rear there from Daniel Kent, and he continues to put pressure with Michael de Kock and Tevin Paul behind. Unfortunately, just being tapped out a bit by Vilji Truscott as he tries to go around the outside. Not enough room to do that. It's yet again 3 wide, and it looks like it's almost going to be contact between Vilji Truscott and Christopher Long, who's worked his way all the way up into second position. The championship leader is not making errors tonight. He is not going to stand here and watch his championship walk out the door from Michael de Kock. He is going to take the bull by the horns and continue putting pressure for second position. Oratile Motsogotsele still behind in fourth position, and Daniel Kent managed to recover fifth position. And still, what an incredible save. And I think we got the entire save on the live stream, so he's going to be happy about that one to go watch it. Back into Magia, now working his way back up at the 9th position after falling off a bit. Ralph Schuster not so lucky down in 13th. And so he's going to have to continue to work at it. Sean Norse comes out of the pit lane, though, goes for a nice early undercut, and he's going to come out in 16th position, but an entire pit stop ahead of the rest of the field. So he's got that time to work with. Christopher Long, though, 2.2 seconds to JP Goslet. The 2 Cape Townians are going to go ham at it. And do remember, though, in qualifying that JP Goslet was able to set these kind of lap times. He qualified in 3rd position with Christopher Long in 2nd position, and so his qualifying lap times are pretty much the same as Christopher Long's, and if he can do anything in the race like he did in qualifying, it's going to be a good fight between these two, Christopher Long and the likes of JP Goslet. Michael de Kock is joining in the background, though, so that's the 2 championship leads of Michael de Kock and Christopher Long, who are going to be going a bit scrapping towards the end side of this race. We'll have to wait and see if he's going to catch up or if Vilji Truscott is going to continue to put pressure, and it looks like he is. Unfortunately, Vilji not in the scope for the top 10 as it stands. He was knocked out a couple of rounds ago, and he has not been able to recover back into the top 10. He sits a little bit further down, I think, in 13th, and so his chances of winning here tonight are unfortunately off the table, but he can still have fun while he does it. The other Truscott brother, Derek, down a little bit further down in 6th position. He's got pressure from Tevin Paul, who led this race for a couple of laps, but unfortunately fell under the pressure from JP Goslet and a couple of our other faster drivers. It's now Kitsu Magia also down in 8th position with Carl Williams, a driver we haven't really spoken about much in heat number 2. He was quite far off the pack after starting in the background and wasn't able to get a couple of flash positions like we saw with Christopher Long, so he remained towards the backside as the race progressed. But it looks like he's now officially in that position to continue to put pressure a little bit further behind. It is 15th for Session Gamada. Oratile, I believe, is also coming to the pit lane. He's down in 14th position, but the undercut, like he always performs, let's hope it's going to do something for him. Jared Leesk also down currently as it stands in 13th position. The rest of the grid, not too much fighting. I did see someone jump into the pit lane there. I believe it's Christopher Long. Indeed it is. And Daniel Kent is going to join in as well as he comes into the pit lane. The rest of the drivers all going around track still. Derek Truscott, Volgie Truscott, Michael the Cock, JP Goslet, they all decide to stay out as a couple of other drivers come in. Carl Williams has come in. Dean Jacobs, he's coming. Christopher Long just exits the pit lane now. Can you believe it? Ralph Schuster has stayed out. You wouldn't believe it, but he has indeed. He's going for the overcut strategy. Who would have thought? Kitso Magia also deciding to go for the overcut strategy as he sits in 5th position now. And this is going to be his chance to work at it for the Vauxhall driver. I believe the only Vauxhall out on grid here again tonight. The only other partner he sometimes has is Omar Khan, who is unfortunately not again racing yet tonight. I think though with the staff is that they aren't technically a part of the physical championship. They do not win any of the prizes at the end. They are merely just racing for the fun of it to add another car onto the grid. And we've got quite a packed Pro Series here. And so there's actually not too much of a need for that fill. Lots and lots of drivers coming to try and compete for that grand prize. And as it stands, Dorotile is doing everything he can down in 10th position. We are officially into the last half of heat number 2, and boy does it go fast. Just a couple of minutes ago it was the start, and just a few minutes before that we were in heat number 1, and soon it's all going to be over. It's already 8 o'clock. We usually finish around the 9 o'clock mark, so not a lot of time left on the board. JP Goslet comes in, so does Michael the Cock, so does Volgie Truscott, and Derek Truscott looks like he's decided to come in as well. Kitsumagia is going to stay out for another lap. He's had a couple of incidents at the start of the race. He won some redemption in the clean air. He's going to get it. Can he set some fast laps while he remains out, while the rest of his competitors come in? This could be another Geo Secure pit stop strategy. A great pit stop strategy could throw him into the positions here of fighting for a top 5. Let's see if Kitsumagia has got it in him to set some progressively fast laps. Christopher Long comes out 5th, with Jared Lees still sitting in 4th position. What an undercut from Jared Lees. I believe he's already pitted. Otherwise, if he hasn't, that's going to be a long drop all the way down. Daniel Kent also 7th position. He's got Michael the Cock putting pressure behind, and Michael the Cock taking the win in race number 1. Now sits 8th position, so trying to find the pressure and the motivation to continue pushing and find himself in 1st again. Ralph Schuster also has not pitted yet, so these two up in front are trying to run away from the grid, but unfortunately Ralph Schuster only 7 seconds away from JP Goslet, and about 12 seconds for Kitsumagia. So it's actually going to be incredibly close for these top 2 because their pit stops are going to take much longer than the time or distance that they have to JP Goslet. So they're not going to be contesting for 1st position yet, but maybe, just maybe a couple of positions before that. We'll have to wait and see. But Kitsumagia stays out another lap, and he really is trying to find the lap times. Yeah, Ralph Schuster decides it is time to come in and get some fresh fuel and some fresh tires on that car. JP Goslet is going to go around again. He's already come in for his pit stops. The only driver, it appears, who has not is Kitsumagia, and he sits quite a good distance ahead of the rest of the pack. It's going to be interesting to see where Kitsumagia comes out. Ralph Schuster, as we mentioned, coming out of the pit lane now. So quite an average pit stop for him. Michael the Cock still holding 7th position. We've got a much more compact field for tonight's racing. The only drop-offs we have is Volgie Truscott down 14th, 15th of Sean Norse, and 16th of Dean Jacobs. They're unfortunately quite far off from the rest of our packs. They're all pitted quite early. Sean Norse having a couple of incidents where he missed the turnoff and he just lost out on the right-hand side of the track. But that one arm, I cannot lie to you, it's a difficult one. Trying to drive a BTCC front-wheel drive car around Alton Park Island with one hand. It's really difficult doing it with 2. So now I imagine 1. There's a bit of fighting though as Daniel Kent is putting pressure with Jared Leesk, and Jared is doing everything he can, trying to find a way, but he's gone out onto the grass a bit and slowed his roll. Oratile, a name that we haven't seen up in the top 5 for a couple of rounds. Mr. Consistency has been a bit laid back for the past few rounds, but tonight is his time to strike in heat number 2, and it looks like he's definitely going to do it. On the outside, he will go and trying to find the grips to make it around Jared Leesk and continuing to put pressure. This is going to be an interesting one to see of what Oratile can do. Michael the Cock also just a bit further behind, doing what he can in 7th position. Derek Truscott still holding 8th with Carl Williams in 9th, and Session Governor still in 10th. Christopher Long is going to get the fastest time around the track currently. Unfortunately, Kitsumagia is in the pit lane. Here he comes out, and unfortunately it's going to be all the way behind Derek Truscott. He's going to slot in just in front of Carl Williams, actually going to be just alongside Derek Truscott, and they're actually going to make a bit of contact as he comes out of the pit lane. This is risky, and that's what happens. Contact on the exit and almost hits the barriers. That is an unfortunate exit for Kitsumajia, and all that speed he tried to build up in the laps that he remained out has just been ruined by being forced out wide. He's now got pressure from Gio Sakia in the last 5 minutes here for some position changes. JP Goslet looks like he's on a roll here. 3 seconds ahead of Christopher Long. Can he hold it for 5 more minutes? Can he get himself a win on a double point night? This could be absolutely huge for JP Goslet to move up into further in the top 10. He just claimed a couple of the final positions in the top 10. Looking at that standings board one more time, there we see Mr. JP Goslet just in the top 10, 145 points, ahead of Jared Leesk, ahead of Carl Williams, ahead of Oratilia Motsogotele, ahead of GF Sakia, ahead of Daniel Kent, ahead of Ralph, ahead of Kitso, ahead of Michael, and ahead of Christopher at this point in time. So this is going to be some huge points on the board for him that he can try and scrape up towards the end of this race. 5 minutes left to go. Christopher is catching slowly but surely. It was 3.5. It's now 2.9 as they continue to progress around the circuit. Daniel Kent is finding some good points at the end of this as well, in third position and doing everything he can to find the speed and the courage to pull closer to Christopher Long, but doing so without risking the time loss to Jared Leesk, who's got pressure from Michael de Kock and Oratilia Motsogotele. It's 2 greens versus a blue. Derek Truscott's just behind them to close off the sandwich, but he's got pressure from Carl Williams. But up in front, here comes a bit of a fight because Michael de Kock tries to go around the outside but forces Jared onto the outside line. And what a great move from Michael de Kock to move up into 4th. And now he's put Jared under jeopardy because Oratilia is going to have a run for him on the inside line into the double chicane. Unfortunately, not enough, and Jared covers his inside and cuts the track, unfortunately. That's going to be a bit of a penalty towards the end of it. And Oratilia, now on the backside, is going to do everything he can to get in the top 5 before the end of tonight's racing for heat number 2. 4 minutes left to go, about a lap, about 2.5-ish laps that they've got left in the tank here to go for this racing session. Oratilia, a name we haven't seen in the top 5 over the past few rounds, and now we get the chance to see it. Michael de Kock already pulling away as it stands from Jared Leesk. Christopher Long closing in on JP Goslet by about 2 to 3 tenths a lap, and this is going to be a bit of a difficult one for Goslet to hold off on, but he's only got 2 or so laps left to go. He just needs to give a solid drive for these last few, and he should be good to take the success of heat number 2. A little bit further behind, it is Gio Sakia trying to catch up to Kitsumajia. Session Governor has lost out to the 2 of them. He moves down to 11th position. Ralph Schuster still not having a good heat number 2, down 13th as it stands. And it's going to be a long drive for him to get to the end. Dean Jacobs also still down to the bottom. Started first in this flip result, and unfortunately down to last at this stage of the race. JP Goslet still holding that front park, and he's actually extended the lap. He's extended his gap yet again. No, he hasn't. Sorry, that timing tower is changing. It keeps going between 3 and 2.2. That's a huge difference. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a little bit difficult to make the judgment between 2 of them, but it's about 2 to 3 seconds of a gap between JP Goslet and Christopher Long. So it's all going to come down now to JP Goslet. Can he bring it home? He's probably going to be starting the second last lap of the race here. This is not going to be going on to last lap. He's going to come across the checkered flag at about 20 seconds past 2 minutes. And we're looking at about 1.5 minutes of lap time. So definitely still 2 to 3 more laps. About 2 laps to go. He crosses at 2 minutes 20. And so that is going to lead him to come across the line with about 40 seconds left to go. So second last lap to go for JP Goslet in heat number 2. Michael de Kock just behind Jared Leesk, and he's got so much pressure from Oratilia. But Carl Williams has also managed to wriggle his way into this fight, and he's in 6th or 7th position, putting pressure from behind now in 7th position on Oratilia. And that's going to be a long, hard fight between all 3 of them. Gio Sakia still sitting down in 10th position, and Session Governor in 11th, doing whatever he can to make his way further up. Michael de Kock, Jared Leesk, and like we mentioned, still in that fight. And here it comes. It's contact on the back right bumper there as Jared Leesk tries to close off the gap on the exit. And it looks like Oratilia got a much better run, but it's now going to be 3 wide coming down to the chicane. And it looks like Carl Williams is going to be the successor here. He gets a much better run, but it is going to be contact between himself and Jared Leesk. Can Oratilia witness a bit of an accident between the 2 of these 2 and get a position ahead? It's contact between Leask and Williams, and it looks like Oratile's found a clear shot ahead of Jared Leask. Indeed he has, and Leask loses 2 positions in 2 corners and moves down to 7th position. Yeah, Oratile is going to move up into 6th. He's now got the chase on Kyle Williams. That's all he's got left to try and get up into the top 5. Can Oratile do it? And officially, JP Goslet starts the final lap of this race, spewing flames out the left-hand side of that BTCC. Absolute power around the track. Christopher Long, not enough to get ahead and push on to JP Goslet in this final bit of the race. And he's going to have to do everything he can to even just keep that position, because here comes Daniel Kent and Michael de Kock just on the backside in 4th position. Kyle Williams now losing out as Oratile makes a clear jump on the inside. What a great read, and moves up ahead of Kyle Williams, but now he's got pressure coming up to the hairpin. There's going to be our main fight coming up to the line. Kyle Williams has got the outside, Oratile holding the inside. Jared Leask is going to follow him on the inside, and we're almost going to go 3 wide again coming down to the chicane. What is it going to be between these 3? They cannot make up their minds as to who will take 5th position. But for the time being, it is Oratile Motswagosele who is going to keep it in the lead in terms of the 5th position battle coming out of that chicane. Kyle Williams is going to put the pressure. Jared Leask is going to continue trying his luck on the rear side, but it is a difficult fight against Jared Leask. Come on, Gio is being pushed yet again in the virtual grandstand to get 1 more position, but I don't think it's going to happen. 3.6 seconds, and here comes our race leader. JP Goslet finds redemption in race number 2, comes across the line with Christopher Long just a bit further behind. Daniel Kent will take 3rd. Michael de Kock will take 4th. The top 4 all within 2 seconds of each other. Oratile Motswagosele in 5th. Kitsomajia will take 6th. 7th for Derek Truscott. 8th for Leask. 9th for Williams, and it looks like it's going to be 10th for Gio Sakia. Tevin Paul, who led the race for a couple of laps, down to 11th. Ralph Schuster, an unfortunate turn of events here in heat number 2, down to 12th. 13th for Session Governor, 14th for Vilji Truscott, and it's going to be 15th for Dean Jacobs, and 16th. Our final driver on the board here is going to be Sean Norse as he rounds it off in 16th position. Coming across the final corner now, 1 hand on the wheel, feeling all the force through one forearm, but across the checkered flag he will go. And a great finish to tonight's racing in heat number 2. We have 1 more heat coming up. It is going to be a slightly longer break as we switch servers for the randomized grid. You can see how tired some of our drivers are, and a couple of discussions happening down there in the field, but it is an average of 15 to 17 minutes wait before we get started with heat number 3. Go make yourself some coffee, make yourself something to eat. It's going to be a good one to finish it off for the finale. You do not want to miss this. The final heat, the final race of round number 8, coming to the end of it. There you can see Sean Norse on the left with 1 arm in a cast. But that's officially it for heat number 2. We'll see you in 15 minutes for heat number 3. One last time. It's all we've got left in 40 seconds. We get to start off heat number 3 of the final round, round number 8 of the TGN Pro Series, Season 1 of 2026, powered by Master Drive and TGN Racing Simulators. We are officially at the leg end of it, and the random grid has been set. Derek Truscott gets the rotation for P1, with Kitsumajia getting the rotation for P2, P3, Dean Jacobs, P4, Christopher Long, P5, Ralph Schuster. The rest you will see on the left-hand side, but the gantry lights are already out, and away we will be going in just a couple of seconds. And the lights have dropped. It's green flag racing as all of our drivers get going. There's a huge gap in the middle of the field due to the random grid, taking into consideration our drivers who are registered but are not racing yet tonight. So a bit of a gap between those and the drivers all the way at the back, but they will catch up slowly but surely with that gap being in the middle. The rest of the drivers, they're coming down already. It is going to be Derek Truscott in the front side, and Kitsumajia has gotten a great start as he moves up into second position. Well, starting second, obviously. Dean Jacobs, though, gets himself into fourth, unfortunately, as he falls back slightly. It is now going to be the likes of Carl Williams and Dean Jacobs moving fourth, fifth now for Christopher Long as he now goes side by side. And this is going to be a good push for him to get up towards the starting points of it. Session Governor sits sixth position, seventh currently, now eighth for Daniel Kent. And it is going to be ninth for Jared Leask, with 10th being the likes of Tevin Paul, who now moves up into ninth position. 10th for Michael Lecoq. 11th for JP Gosley. He doesn't get the greatest rotation here for the random grid order. 12th position, Ralph Schuster goes from 5th all the way down to 12th in lap number 1. Aratile in 13th with Sean Norse down 14th. 15th for Gio Sakia. And that is your 15 drivers in today's racing. Vilji Truscott unfortunately did not start this race. It looks like he was not able to get things going, but his brother is carrying the flag high up in P number 1. And there we see Vilji Truscott disconnecting. Looks like he's going to be retiring from this race. But Vilji Truscott carries that flag up in front. Kitsumajia in second position with Carl Williams in third. Still following on strong. Christopher Long holding off on fourth position. And we're trying to keep the anticipation ready. Someone's off in the background. And I'm not too sure who it is. I think it might be Tevin Paul. Indeed it is. And just losing it on the turn 1 exit. Too much on the grass. And that is enough to spin the I-20 around. Unfortunate there for the likes of Tevin Paul. He's going to have to work hard to try and work it back. And we'll have to wait and see if that's going to be enough for him. Come the next couple of laps, we'll have to wait and see. As just quickly double checking something. And going on. Apologies about that small delay. We're just quickly fixing something. So Derek Truscott still holds off in P number 1. Kitsumajia sits in P number 2 as he continues to try and push on in the storm. And Kitsumajia has had an unfortunate night here tonight. Unfortunately not had the best of results across heat number 1 and heat number 2. And this is officially a redemption time for him. I know we've said it across the entire night for a couple of our drivers, but Kitsumajia has not had the chance to redeem himself here. And he's had a rough season as well, with a couple of ups and downs, but he's managed to keep himself in the buoy end of third position. Obviously, after tonight's results, things might shift, but he's got one more race where he can try and prove himself. Someone jumps into the pit box very early. It's Christopher Long who's coming in. I'm not too sure what it's for. Looks like his pit box is all the way at the end, and there he now jumps into service pit stop, probably coming in for a nice early undercut. Daniel Kent gets the fastest lap of this race, down to 15th. It is Tevin Paul, like we already saw him going slightly off of the rails. And JP Gosler down in 13th position. 12th, Michael Lecoq, the man who was scoring some bonus points in Heat 1 and 2 in first and in the top 10 in Heat number 2. And unfortunately now he's all the way down to 12th position. He's got a long road ahead of him that he's got to work through. Ralph Schuster does redeem himself and gets himself ahead of that small mid-pack from 12th up to 6th position. And he's going to be very satisfied about that one, so he can continue trying to get some good points on the board. It is Daniel Kent holding off on 4th position. Session Governor is in a great spot as well for some points coming towards the end of the season. He holds down in 5th position. Carl Williams, Kitsumajia holding 2nd with Carl Williams in 3rd. And still the same. It's just keeping as it stands. Derek Truscott is running away at this point and not able to get ahead is Kitsumajia or Carl Williams. They remain just in the wake as they continue going on. But We are waiting to hear for a few things. That there we see Christopher Long. He's officially out of the pit box, but he is down 15th position as it stands. So a very early pit stop. Hopefully the pit stop was caused from early pit stops. I know that he had a couple of issues in the 2 past rounds, so that's why I'm hoping the pit stop wasn't due to him needing some kind of mechanical break or some form of quick fix in the pit stop. He was having a couple of PC-based issues on launch, which is why for Heat 1 and Heat 2, we saw him obviously having quite poor launches, and that was due to the fact that his PC was hitting 99% CPU every single time the red lights went out due to the force feedback activating on the steering wheel. Just a little bit too much signal for the CPU to handle all at once. It seems like it, which is very surprising with these very powerful CPUs we have in the computers at TGN. But unfortunately, it was the reality. Dean Jacobs has lost the car, it seems like, and it's at the hairpin. He's just put in too much power, and the rear end has rotated facing the wrong way. He's managed to recover it, but it's all the way down in 13th position. He now joins the pack of cars who is at the back. That's Christopher Long and Tevin Paul. But obviously Christopher Long being the only one. But what on earth did D. Jacobs just do? Just completely cuts across. And it seems, I don't know if he's got an issue or something, but he's just jumped right over the chicane. And he's T-boned into the side of Michael the Cock. He is not going to be happy about that one. So I'm not too sure what happened there with Dean Jacobs, but it looks like he is struggling a bit with car control. And he knocks off on the left-hand side. There we see him now down in 14th. He completely misses the braking point. And I'm trying to see, and it looks like his brakes are working. I've got a small glimpse of Dean's screen just below where I'm commentating from. And just making sure he's not calling for the admins to help him to maybe see if he's got some form of brake failure, because he completely missed the braking point there. But no, he's making his braking points. So it looks like just a bit of a user error there, but that has really ruined the race of Michael the Cock. He got bumped completely off track there. Back up on top though, Derek Truscott has lost the pillow of freedom because Kitso Magia, Kyle Williams, and Daniel Kent have all hopped on board to contest here for the win of this race, and that is going to be the result of it. And Derek Truscott, from what he thought would be a nice easy stroll in the park up in front, has now turned into a bit of a fight session. Governor is also just on the leg end of it, and Ralph Schuster in 6th position. So this is going to be a good 6-way fight if Ralph can get a little bit closer, and Session Governor as well get a little bit closer. And we could hopefully see a little bit of a 6-way fight going for the lead of this race. It's always good to see the lead of the race being, spanning across so many positions. It means that anything can happen. When it's only 1 or 2 drivers, you know that if something happens to the one, it's an easy win for the other. But when 6 drivers are in the equation, one small incident can change up the entire top 5 running order, which is, as much as it sucks to say as a commentator, it is a lovely view because you get to experience a lot of change on the field. And talking about change, Kitso Magia is contesting Derek Truscott onto the inside line of the next corner, and now rubbing on the rear bumper there a little bit, trying to find a way around. He did get forced out there in a fully legitimate way, and Derek Truscott pulling every defensive move he's allowed to do in that BTCC car. And looks like it's been a successful round of defense because he keeps Kitso Magia behind, and Kyle Williams is going to continue to try and close the gap from behind. The more that Vauxhall of Kitso Magia gets blocked off, the easier it's going to be for Kyle Williams to push on the rear side and make this a 3-way battle. It's already 3-way, but it could go even further to turn into a 3-way fight in terms of 3 wide, but it looks like it's not going to be the case. Kitso Magia misses his braking point. He's trying to be too greedy, and Kyle Williams is going to have a straight shot at the jugular here as Kitso Magia limping across the curbs, trying to keep up the speed in the Vauxhall, but the Cooper Leon of Kyle Williams behind, having a much better exit onto the straight, is going to be contesting for it. But it looks like Kitso has managed to overslow Kyle Williams in a fully legal way in terms of racing standards by just taking the curb slightly slower, forcing Kyle to just slow his car down as well. And it's done enough for Kitso to keep him at bay. And now obviously both of them have lost quite a bit of traction to the likes of Derek Truscott, but both are in any case going to pull into the pit lane, it seems, and Kitso comes in way too fast, absolutely bangs the pit wall, and that's not going to be a good one for him. But thankfully there's no damage. That's a bit of a confusing one. Derek Truscott stays out, so does Session Governor, and so does Ralph Schuster. 11 minutes to go. Christopher Long, our championship leader, down in 12th position as it stands. It's a long way fight for all of our drivers as they continue going up for the remainder of this race. Apologies about that. Christopher Long still holding 10th position. Derek Truscott, my goodness, he's got a good race ahead of him as it stands. Oratile, also the man of consistency, down in 4th position. He's holding on strong. Jared Leask, he's up into 5th position. That's one of the best positions we've seen Jared Leask in for the last couple of heats, as unfortunately heat number 1 and heat number 2 have not been the two most successful ones that we've seen for Jared Leask in his time here at the TGN Pro Series. But still 10 minutes left to go. There's a lot to play for. There we see Kitsumajia. He's got loads of pressure now from behind of Daniel Kent. And remember, Daniel Kent came for a very early pit stop. Unfortunately, the undercut was not strong enough, and he ends up behind both Kitso and Carl Williams. But Carl did get out before Kitso because he obviously met his pit box earlier by Kitso absolutely lambasting the wall into the pit box, which is unfortunate for him. But looks like he's going to come back out and still continue past behind Carl Williams. Daniel Kent also down 9th position. They still build up towards the inside now, coming towards the checkered flag, and just over the crescent for Daniel Kent. And the two up in front are going to continue to put pressure. There we see Oratile, Derek Truscott, and Ralph Schuster. They are all into the pit stops. And Session Governor up in front in P number 1 is going to continue out on the floor without coming into the pit box just as of yet. So we'll wait and see when he's going to decide. Jared Leask also decides to stay out. Gio Sakia, I believe, is staying out as well. And Derek Truscott, who is the provisional race lead, has already come into the pit box. So the 3 drivers up in front will unfortunately drop off quite a drastic bit, as we already have the provisional race leaders coming around yet again. Carl Williams 2nd, Kitsumajia 3rd, Daniel Kent 4th. All provisional as it stands, with Session Leask, with Governor Leask and Sakia, all 3 being up in front, holding off the front packs. Long and Motsogosele still holding 9th and 10th, with Goslet down 11th position. Sean Norse, a one-handed man, one-hand Norse, down 12th position. He's still trying to hold off on the rest of the pack. Apologies. As now Tevin Paul on the rear side, putting a bit of pressure, perhaps a little bit too much pressure, as he's starting to touch the rear end there. Michael de Kock trying to recover his race after the contact with Dean Jacobs, down 14th position, now putting pressure on the inside of Tevin Paul. He brakes slightly later, and it looks like he's made the switchback work. A beautiful move from Michael de Kock to move up into 13th position. He's got 8 minutes left to go. There we now see Session Governor coming into the pit box. So does Jared Leask, but Gio Sakia staying out for yet another lap. So he's going to be all the way out in 1st position as it stands. And as far as I'm aware, Gio Sakia has not come into the pit box just as of yet. So he is going to have to work hard. Unfortunately, it's a 2-second gap between himself and Derek Truscott, which means that once he does come into the pit lane, it's going to be quite a long drop-off from the top spots of this race. Session Governor, Daniel Kent down 5th and 6th, Christopher Long 7th. They're all still riding in the mid-pack. Ralph Schuster down 8th position as it stands. But obviously they'll gain a couple of positions while the rest of the drivers still coming into the pit lane as it continues to go around. 7 minutes left to go, though. The last 7 minutes of the TGN Pro Series for season number 1. Here comes a move on the inside. Christopher Long looking for it, but decides not to play the risk this late in the game, and decides not to take a risky plunge on the inside there of Session Governor. Good sportsmanship being shown, and he'll rather find a better suited position to make the overtake stick. So we'll have to wait and see when he's going to have the opportunity. It looks like it might be now. If he gets a good run coming into the next right-hander, a switchback could be imminent, but it doesn't look like it, as Session Governor does lock the brakes slightly. It's going to reduce his speed heading onto the back straight, but not enough for Christopher Long to make a move. We do have to also account for Ralph Schuster, who sits just behind Christopher Long. He's still catching his tokens behind and trying to find his way up ahead, but that's only time will tell. Gio Sakia now into the pit lane. Has he missed his pit box? And indeed he has. His was the first pit box at the lane. And that is the unfortunate part about the Chaos Grid, is that obviously we start a new lobby, meaning that your pit box changes. And so, unfortunately, Gio Sakia was used to his normal pit box in his positioning. The new pit box being the first pit box in the lane, and it's so easy to overshoot. And unfortunately for him, that is going to be the result of it. All the way, he's going to lose about 5 to 10 seconds from having to reverse in the pit lane, and that entire overcut strategy is going to be thrown into the gutters as it stands. Down to 12th position goes Gio Sakia, but it is 5 minutes left. Derek Truscott now gets himself back into P1, but It's not an easy P1 at all because Kyle Williams will be on the backside with Daniel Kent also pushing on strong in third position. Kitsumajia has lost out to those front runners, and Daniel Kent, if only he could have just been in these front running packs early on in the season, he may not have been just in the top 5 in the championship standings. He could have been further up in the top 3 or even in the top 2, but unfortunately he has to settle for the top 5 as it stands. Derek Truscott still holding off in front with 5 minutes left to go. There we see Tevin Paul still holding down the 13th. Obviously had the big incident at the start of this race, losing control out of turn number 1, and he currently sits 13th position. 14th for Sean Norse, 15th for Dean Jacobs, and Kyle Williams still holding off in second position. He is getting closer and closer to the backside of Derek Truscott, and we could potentially see a bit of a battle coming between the top 2 of you. And remember, the more that they battle, the easier it's going to be for Daniel Kent to work his magic in third position. That new wheel at home has been doing wonders for him because his pace is just increasing week by week. And the scary part is I do not want to know how fast Daniel Kent is going to be after the season break, heading into season number 2. That is going to be quite an interesting one to see, as Daniel Kent has only but improved. So is Session Governor Tevin Paul, 2 of the new guns, who are obviously brand new to the TGN Pro Series, and now they come into it with some flying 4. Session Governor holding 5th position like an absolute champ, and that is going to teach him some great skills for the racing in season number 2. I cannot wait for season number 2. We've got obviously a whole new schedule and a whole new calendar coming up. I believe it is still going to be the BTCC cars. It's a good mix of vehicles for the TGN Pro Series, and so that is going to be the car that is fixed for that event. But the tracks are obviously going to be slightly different. New tracks means new techniques, new controls that the drivers have got to learn, which is going to be quite an interesting one indeed. The rest of them still keep on going around. JP Gosling now 9th, but Jared Leesk still holding off on 10th position as they continue around. Jared Leesk going for a late dive on the inside. Little bit risky on the inside of JP Gosling there. And JP Gosling thankfully saw it coming. He did have a bit of a bumper bash, but he gets forced wide by Jared Leesk, who makes that late dive. And now JP Gosling loses 9th position, moves down to 10th with 3 minutes left to go, with just about enough time for Derek Truscott to do, I would say, about 2 to 3 more laps, depending on where he is now. He's just started another lap, so I believe it's going to be 2 more laps of racing here for the driver up in front. Derek Truscott has got work to do, though. He's got 4 cars, all in equal speed and equal level machinery, who are behind him, hungry for the win here. As his points on the board, Derek Truscott is not even in the top 10 as it stands, and so his points in the grand scheme of things do not really matter towards the end prize of the TGN Pro Series. But for drivers like Daniel Kent and Kitsumajia in 3rd and 4th position, it is utterly important for them to get as many points as possible. Daniel Kent in 5th, Kitsumajia in 3rd position. And so with both Christopher Long and Michael de Kock being far off of a good scoring point, it is important for Kitsumajia to move up at least 1 more place in this lap. But I believe we're still going to have another 2 laps here. It's going to be this lap and the next lap, because Derek Truscott's just come across the line and there's 2 minutes left to go, which means he's going to come across the line with just about 40 seconds left before the end of the session. So it is going to be another lap after this. This is not final lap as of yet. Ralph Schuster holding down on 6th position, with Christopher Long holding off on 7th position. Just not enough to get his way up ahead of Ralph Schuster. Looks like he's starting to tone it down. At this point, I would also assume I've pretty much won the race, as that might be the result for the likes of Christopher Long. And for some reason, I've just lost my mouse. No longer responding, so that's an interesting one. Thankfully, we've got a keyboard here that's got a mouse attached. I heard the Windows disconnect noise and started to get worried, wondering what on earth is just disconnected. And thankfully, it's just the mouse, which is really not that bad. Not too sure why it disconnected, though. But we are good. We've got an integrated trackpad in the keyboard that we are using over here. So 1 minute left to go. We can still watch all the action here with Kyle Williams, Daniel Kent, Kitsumajia. They're all still doing everything that they can to make this final lap work. 11th with Michael de Kock and Gio Sakir. There's a little bit of a battle going on between them, as Michael de Kock is just a couple of meters ahead of Gio Sakir, but nothing that can happen ever so immediately. 9th of Jared Leesk. He's also got a bit of competition behind with JP Gosling that he just overtook. But all eyes are going to be on those front pack runners, because it's the final lap, and the final two up in front have got a lot going for them. Unfortunately, Carl Williams is the only driver to contest Derek Truscott. Unfortunately, Kitsumagia and Daniel Kent have both dropped off quite a significant amount. Daniel Kent down 3 seconds behind Kitsumagia, which is not a great one to see at all. But Derek Truscott has got just a little bit of corners left, but no, he's overshot, and this is going to give the opportunity to Carl Williams on the inside line. You can spectate it from Carl's POV, and he's getting blocked, actually. It's contact between himself and Derek Truscott, and that is a deliberate inside blocking technique to try and keep the driver behind, and it's actually forced Carl Williams to lose a little bit of speed here. Derek did not want to lose it on the cuff of this race, and coming into the final 2 corners now, and Carl Williams, unfortunately, now 7/10 behind. It's not close enough to make a deep lunge here. If he attempts a lunge, it is going to be classified extremely dangerous and unsafe because it is from too far back. But so the only thing that could change the results here is this: Derek Truscott makes a mistake, but there's going to be no mistakes from him because he holds P number 1. He's going to come across the checkered flag line. Carl Williams will take 2nd, Kitsumagia in 3rd, Daniel Kent in 4th. Session Governor will take 5th, with Ralph Schuster taking 6th. 7th for Atile Motsogosele, who's going to come across the line just ahead of Leask and Long, but looks like Long has just overtaken Leask for 8th position on the checkered flag line. Jared Leask will take 9th, with JP Gosler taking 10th. Michael de Kock takes 11th. Gio Sakia is going to come across the board to finish off in an average 12th position. 13th is going to be Tevin Paul. 14th being the likes of Sean Norse, just coming across. 15th, unfortunately, Dean Jacobs very, very far off the pack, and he's going to be still circling for quite some time before this race is over. But that is officially it for the racing action for the TGN Pro Series season number 1. We actually finished quite a bit ahead of schedule here due to the fact that we took way less of an intermission during heat number 3. I'm sure everybody noticed it. We jumped from like 7 minutes to 1 minute, and it looked like we actually managed to save quite a lot of time. But that is officially it, ladies and gentlemen. The race is officially over, and the season is officially over. We don't get to see you. Well, you'll get to see the Pro-Am Series next week on Thursday, but we don't get to see you for a couple of weeks on Thursday for the Pro Series. It's going to be a bit of a break for our drivers to recalibrate, and maybe some fresh blood will be introduced. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see who decides to join in for season number 2. But that is officially it. Daniel P3, that is obviously from the previous round. And Oliver Kent saying, great series, great commentary. We'll be back. Indeed, we will. A note, though, that there is still some events coming up. We've got a final endurance event of the first half of this year coming up on the 7th of June. Make sure you register your team. 2 to 3 drivers each, 550 Rand per team. Split it across your drivers. It is actually so cheap for a 3-hour-long endurance series where you race in person with a bunch of great guys. It is something you do not want to miss at TGN. But without further ado, we are about ready to close off on our session. And it's a sad one because we finished such a great season with such a good amount of racing. We cannot declare a winner just as of yet because penalty points need to be come into the equation and proper calculation needs to come in for the final round. But it is going to be a close one. That is all I can say. The top 8 were all in a 200-point margin. No one else was pretty much in that 200-point gap. So the top 8, all 200 points and plus. So that just puts it into perspective for you of how close the racing action was here at TGN. My name has been Tristan Earps. It's been an absolute pleasure joining you in the commentary box every second Thursday for the TGN Pro Series. TGN Endurance Series will also be there, commentating live and possibly racing at the next one. But we'll see you in a couple of months' time, 1 month or 2 months' time, for the TGN Pro Series, season number 2 of 2026. Have an absolutely fantastic night, and we'll see you around. Cheerio.